Hello and welcome to today's video. Every single Monday the content is chosen by you, the viewers. So if there is a song or an album you would like me to check out, react to or review, then be sure to let me know in the comments section below. One will be chosen every single week. And today we'll be taking a look at the track Dark by the English alternative metalcore band October Ends. Yes, I did have a few requests to take a look at this particular track, which was released a couple of weeks ago. Did receive some radio play on some of the bigger radio stations here in the UK, and it does signal new music from the band, and I do believe they've had a bit of a shake-up in their lineup recently. I do believe they lost a couple of members, with Nick potentially taking over on vocals full-time, rather than just being on the electronics and the clean vocals, so may signal a new phase for the band. Prior to the release of this track, they did have Zodiac and Phases, their two previous albums, released in 2020 and 2022 respectively. With that first album actually having quite a good number of views. Phases not so many, but it did have Destroy Us All, which seemed to be a much more popular track, was able to kind of really garner some listens, but unfortunately outside of that, the album didn't seem to really generate too much notoriety, but they certainly seem to be bouncing back with this new music. So will this latest track keep the band in the dark or allow them to finally see the light of day? Let's take a look at exactly how it sounds.
Disguise and pretend that I work out. I use mild paint to cover my breakdowns, distracting myself over the fact that my life at the moment was a massive fuck up. In the daylight I hide my feelings behind mask. I like the night time cause people cannot see from past. Light up alone, I just drink about it. Get high, it helps not to think about it. Blind girls spend the night and fuck about. I live in the dark, yeah, I live in the dark. Venom is my time of light. It's hard to act like I'm trying my love. Just stay away.
So you can definitely see this song is definitely focusing on the idea of that post-breakup, that life falling apart, but wanting to live in the dark. But it does it some very clever means. It's not just kind of typically taking a just constant stab at this idea of being upset and being sad. I disguise and pretend that I work out. I use mild pain to cover my breakdowns. So the idea that you kind of look for these excuses to kind of hide away, to kind of not face your pain or face the things that you're going through. You'll kind of find these distractions or pretend that you're okay and that you're using these things as methods for getting through those darker points in your life. Just kind of say I'm doing this or I'm doing that to really cover that point, distracting myself over the fact that my life at the moment is a massive fuck up. So again, just trying to divert your attention towards something else. And I like the next line, in the daylight I hide my feelings behind a mask. The idea that when you are in public, in the daylight, kind of surrounded by people, you kind of hide away. You have this facade, this mask on. Something we often do see people do is hide away from how they're truly feeling. If they're asked, they just say simply they're okay. I like the nighttime because people cannot see through my past. So often when you're in the darkness, that's typically when you are alone with your own thoughts. So not being out, I like this kind of contrast between the daylight and the dark, really kind of showing the public atmosphere and the private as well. So really showing that interesting split. Night out alone, I really like this line, I just drink about it. So I really love that kind of wordplay on I just think about it, kind of swapping that out to this nighttime atmosphere, really blending in a lot of these ideas to kind of give off this very dark atmosphere. And the music helps to do that as well. We've got these very big, deep electronic beats really coming in at the opening of the track, really setting almost that club scene that they're really going into as we do move into the track. I get high, it helps not to think about it. Fine girls spend the night and fuck about. So kind of just trying to look for these distractions to move past the pain, whether it be drink, drugs or women, just any of those. I live in the dark, so kind of living in this constant negative space. But then as we do move into the chorus, we get this really eruptive dark, so really filling that void certainly very well from Nick, who seems to be taking over on the vocals, kind of stepping into the role of filling out some of those harsher vocals, maybe not quite as strong as the band's previous vocalists, but certainly just kind of trying to fit into this new style the band have seemed to be going for. Your Venom has blackened my heart, so really just touching on the idea that it's this one person, their venom has caused him to kind of have this pain inside him, this darkness. It's hard to act like I'm fine when I'm just stay away. So I really like how they just kind of make it very simple, but kind of putting a bit of a different spin on this idea of contrast of night and day, really just kind of a nice way to kind of mix it up and not make the song too bland.
Dark mode enabled.
I'm fucking I live in the dark, yeah. I live in the dark. Feeling almost no time behind. It's so hard to act like I'm fine when I'm not. Just stay away.
And I really like how we've got these really strong vocals on that clean side really coming in from Nick. He's really bending these notes out, and it really adds a lot more power to the actual track and really gives it just a lot more power and a lot kind of raises the levels, really helped by us dipping into these heavier elements as they do enable dark mode, really dipping into something slightly darker, certainly just more aggressive in its nature. So I really like the way they do that, and I like the way they're kind of focusing on this other person's perspective. It's not at all rare how fucking unfair your life has been to you. So almost kind of like this pity party for this other person that's actually full of venom. The idea that, oh yes, I can hear your black and despair and all that you've been through. It's almost like he's listening but just really just doesn't care, because he kind of feels that this broken hope is too cruel, because he's actually the one that's had the wrong done to him, rather than this person constantly complaining about their life. So you can almost see it being very pessimistic towards this other person. You can really see the volatility that's really coming through from this lyric choice. Yes, I actually really enjoyed that track. It's definitely not something I've kind of really heard too much of before from the band. I know they're going through a slightly different change in style and really trying something new, but I really liked the melodic hook we did have. The electronic elements really as well did fit very well in with the track, really kind of adding this big beat atmosphere to the back, really setting this club scene that really emphasised this idea of this darkness that they were really enveloping in the track, kind of touching on the ideas of these ways that you try and escape this pain that you're going through, this darkness, rather than trying to just simply tackle it, looking at the things that people do to distract themselves, how they can feel faded and numb, rooted into the ground, that feeling of anxiety that you just can't escape, that you're almost drowning in quicksand and you're lost in the dark. Like, someone please make a sound, almost like someone be my rescue light and come and save me from this darkness that I'm in. And I also really like Nick's clean vocals. It very much reminds me of bands like Hands Like Houses, these really interesting kind of wavering notes that we do have coming out from him, and it's really enjoyable in the way they've melded a lot of these styles together, dipping into that metalcore, including these softer spoken elements as well, and playing with something electronic. It's something we've seen a lot of bands do over the years, and it seems to be a style that's taking a bit of a resurgence, helped by bands like Bring Me the Horizon, who've really been able to meld the two together, and it's really kind of paving the way for bands like this to really be up and coming and kind of get a bit more notoriety. And it certainly seems like now that they're in a bit of a rebuilding phase, this song will really serve as a strong foundation for the band to build as they look to build up, and they'll be certainly helped by the radio play they have been receiving. Be interesting to see how they can follow up on this track with some more music and what style they continue to meld together, but certainly doing it very well on this, really showing that they can pull these different styles together in such an effective way. So that will be everything for today's video, but as always, feel free to let me know your thoughts about this track in the comment section below. How do you feel this new styling or iteration of the band lives up to their previous? If you are a long time fan, I would love to know your thoughts. Maybe you're excited to check out more of their music in the future. Also, if you'd like to see more content like this, then please do feel free to subscribe, and I will see you in the next Audio Analysis.